Many centuries ago, in the southern tip of our great nation Bharat, there thrived a magnificent empire known for its pride in the Tamil language and its glorious valor. This was the mighty Chola Empire. The reign of these valiant kings stretched far beyond mere land. Their fame spread across oceans to distant lands. The Chola Navy was among the finest in the world, consisting of thousands of warriors and hundreds of ships, sailing through roaring seas with flags fluttering high. The Chola kings were not only warriors but also patrons of knowledge, art, and trade. They traded via sea routes with countries in the east and west, elevating our nation's wealth and fame. These vast trade routes were the lifeline of the Chola Empire. Our story begins during this era. A young naval warrior named Arjun was undergoing intense training in the Chola Navy. Though young, his eyes shone with determination. He keenly observed the waves, the position of stars, and the direction of winds. He possessed the intelligence and skill required of a great sailor. Arjun dreamed of one day becoming the chief commander of the Navy. At that time, a prestigious Chola treasure fleet was preparing to set sail to the far eastern lands. This treasure was not merely gold and diamonds. It included our culture, rare artworks, scientific instruments, and exotic spices admired by the world. This journey symbolized the Cholas' trade prestige and cultural exchange. A successful voyage would further strengthen the empire. However, a great threat loomed over this peaceful voyage. News reached the Chola king that a fearsome pirate known as the Shadow Snake planned to intercept and seize the treasure fleet. The Shadow Snake was not just a pirate, but a master of strategy. He knew every ocean current and wind direction. He appeared and vanished on the sea like a shadow. Arjun was the first to sense the danger with his sharp observation. After a storm, he found a shipwreck on the shore with a mysterious symbol of the Shadow Snake carved into it. It was not an ordinary mark but a secret code. Arjun understood this was a well-planned conspiracy, not just petty piracy. He quickly reported his findings to his superior. Captain Devi, one of the senior-most commanders of the Chola Navy, led the treasure mission. A brave and seasoned warrior, her eyes held the depth of the ocean. Arjun served under her command. Captain Devi realized the seriousness of the threat upon hearing Arjun's findings. Every ship in the Chola fleet was built to withstand storms and attacks. These were not just ships, but floating fortresses. The front of each ship had sharp rams to crush enemy vessels. The ships were manned by skilled archers, spear fighters, and elite soldiers. These vessels were built with dedication and trust. Arjun performed his duties with great responsibility. He learned every knot, every timber, and the movement of each ship. Captain Devi noticed his sharp insights. Arjun often thought beyond the routine, anticipating unseen dangers and preparing solutions silently. How did ancient mariners navigate such vast seas without modern maps? You may wonder. It was a science. They read star positions, the sun's path, wind direction, sea currents, bird and fish patterns, and cloud formations. Every part of the sea had unique markers. This knowledge was passed from one generation to the next. Midway through the journey, a new challenge emerged. The Shadow Snake had planted misleading signs and false navigational markers to divert the Chola fleet toward a reef-filled danger zone. The compass began to show incorrect directions. Sailors were confused. Something felt wrong, but they couldn't identify it. What is the right path in this sea? How do we escape the Shadow Snake's trap? Wondered Arjun. Trusting his instincts and knowledge, he used an astrolabe to measure star positions. He discovered they had drifted off their usual path. He rushed to Captain Devi and showed her his findings. With his simple star map, he said, "Commander, the stars point elsewhere. We're heading toward reefs. The Shadow Snake has misled us. Even the wave flow and wind direction are off." Initially surprised, Captain Devi saw the confidence in Arjun's eyes and the accuracy in his data. She accepted his advice. The ships changed course immediately. Within minutes, the hidden reefs appeared dangerously close. Thanks to Arjun's skills, disaster was averted. The Shadow Snake's trap failed. Furious that his plan was foiled, the shadow snake began chasing the Chola fleet. A storm of battle loomed over the sea. What skills must a commander have to maneuver a ship in battle? You might ask. Instant calculations of wind, waves, and enemy movement. That is true mastery. The Chola ships, designed for speed and impact, sliced through the waves. The shadow snake's fleet pursued fiercely. The sea became a battlefield. Once again, Arjun's keen observation helped. From atop the mast, he spotted a narrow and tricky waterway between islands. Dangerous, but if used smartly, it could mislead the enemy. He signaled his idea to Captain Devi. She agreed, and the Chola ships bravely entered the waterway, maneuvering perfectly around rocks. The shadow snake's ships hesitated, fearing the danger. Some tried to follow and got trapped or wrecked. Arjun's cleverness bought them precious time. Finally, a grand battle unfolded in the middle of the sea. What qualities make a great naval commander? You might ponder. Courage, vision, and the ability to harness the strengths of every crew member. The Chola attack was sharp and coordinated. They rammed enemy ships, weakening them. Chola warriors tied enemy ships and boarded them skillfully. Archers rained arrows, each hitting targets precisely. Spearmen leaped into enemy decks, fighting bravely. The Chola navy moved like one united force. At a critical moment, Arjun identified the shadow snake's flagship and spotted a weak point. He and his team launched a precise strike. The enemy flagship was heavily damaged. The shadow snake's strategies could not match the Chola's honest strength. Realizing defeat, the shadow snake retreated with his remaining fleet. The Chola treasure ships were safe. The navy once again proved its valor, discipline, and brilliance. This was more than a victory over pirates. It was a triumph of maritime supremacy and trade security. At journey's end, the treasure fleet safely reached the eastern port. They were welcomed joyfully. Captain Devi deeply acknowledged Arjun's wisdom and bravery. She patted his shoulder with quiet pride. That moment filled Arjun with joy. His dream of becoming the chief commander was no longer a dream. It had begun to come true. This voyage teaches us a great truth. True treasure is not gold or jewels. It is courage, knowledge, perseverance, and a skillful mind. The Cholas, through their navy, conquered not just lands, but the very oceans. Their legacy of naval tactics, architecture, and artistic treasures still teach us many lessons today. Even now, the waves whisper tales of those Chola warriors. They were not just sailors, they were brave adventurers and guardians of knowledge. This mighty navy is a golden chapter in Indian history. The glory of the Cholas will shine forever, like the rising sun over the ocean.